President Donald Trump is working to deliver measurable results with his budget plan. So, what's most important to voters? I'm Veronica Dudo. Let's find out.
This is In America Today from the Ticker News Studios in New York City.
President Donald Trump returned to Capitol Hill with a bold agenda, rallying support for what he calls the One Big Beautiful Bill. The proposed legislation is aimed at tackling economic instability, inflation, border security, and government waste. With national debt surpassing $36 trillion, the president's push comes at a critical economic inflection point. Supporters say the move shows President Trump's commitment to reducing federal waste and restoring fiscal responsibility, while critics question the feasibility of such a dramatic restructuring. Here's President Trump on Capitol Hill.
It's very important. It's important for the country. It's not important for me. It's important for the country. This is the greatest bill that will ever, I think it's the most important bill this country just about has ever done in terms of size and scope. That's why we call it the great, big, beautiful deal. I mean, it really is. The bill is, I think it's going to be one of the most important. It's the biggest tax reduction in history, biggest regulation reduction in history. Incredible for Medicaid, for Medicare. The only thing, we're going to leave it exactly as it was, other than for obviously waste, fraud, and abuse. We're strengthening it. We're going to make these things even stronger. The Democrats are going to destroy Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. And we're going to keep them, but even make them strong.
Here to break down the bill's significance, voter priorities, and what the latest polling reveals about the stakes heading into 2026, I'm joined by Dustin Olson, a pollster with American Pulse Research and Polling and the host of the Political Trade Secret podcast. Welcome to the show.
Great to be here.
So first, let's begin with how important is this moment for Donald Trump and the Republicans?
This is really important. We went into the field with a poll right before President Trump was inaugurated for the second time, and we found out that 62% of Americans prioritized the economy and inflation, taxes and spending, and border security, which much of this One Big Beautiful Bill tackles. And had he not been able to pass this, and it was close. I mean, this is a razor thin margin. That would have been a big deal and a big hit to his agenda going into his second term. I also think this is really important for the economy. Since Liberation Day, my stocks have recovered generally, but this is important. The economy is looking for certainty, and had this not passed, and if Republicans couldn't get it done, we still have the Senate to go. But if it wasn't done, this is just one more bit of an uncertainty for a lot of people who would be looking at what would also, the flip side of it, it would have been the largest tax hike in history as well, had it not passed, or if it doesn't get passed. So this is what's at stake. And we watch this in public opinion. The economy drives public opinion. So this was a critical thing to get done.
When reviewing the results of your polling, when we see that 62%, of course, speaking about what is in this, a lot of people really do care about. For some of the lawmakers who might be against it, is that something that they should consider moving forward? What type of impact that could have on them?
Yeah, so one of the things I think there's some concern on, probably in Republican circles, that I think is probably worthwhile criticism, is while this does take on deficits, we really do have a looming fiscal crisis with $36 trillion in debt. The servicing of the debt is larger than the defense budget at this point. This is a lot of presidents in a row have contributed to this, but we are close to what some people think is a fiscal cliff. Now, in our polling, majorities really do approve. 56% in our polling said that they approve of the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, led by Elon Musk. People do like the idea of taking on this government waste, fraud, and abuse. And the only hope that I can say is that really with this bill, we're trying to turn the Titanic before we hit the iceberg. At least we know that the iceberg's coming, and this is a first step, but it's going to take a couple of budgets. That's my hope. You never know with Washington, but maybe this is a start to turning the ship. But it definitely, there's going to need to be a lot more done to pull back spending.
Now, how are Democrats responding to the proposal, particularly the DOGE component?
So that's a really good question. So one thing about the one big beautiful bill, this was probably the best, one of the many things that Donald Trump does. He branded it. It's hard to be against the one big beautiful bill, but also when you have a huge a bill like this that has everything in it, from increases to defense spending to border security to tax cuts and other spending cuts, it allows your opposition to say whatever they want to say, because hidden in that complexity, they can pretty much come up with anything. So you can expect that Democrats are going to continue this line that it steals from the rich and gives to the poor, or the opposite. It steals from the poor to give to the rich. So you can expect them to do that, whether it's true or not. Now, one thing that's interesting, we're going to have to go to the Senate next. And because it's one big, beautiful bill, because it is so large and it's so important to the agenda, there's almost no way that it doesn't pass the Senate. It will be different, I'm sure. However, Republican fortunes are really hinging on this. And while historically it's difficult for the party and the White House to do well in the midterms, we are at a point where Republicans are actually the most popular that they've been, with the recent Harvard Harris poll had Republicans over 50% in their popularity, and then Democrats being at one of their lowest that they've been popular. And we see a lot of the disarray and really trying to figure out who they are. It's possible that Republicans, by getting this done so early, in the first term, Trump did his tax cuts around Christmas time. These are getting done way early, and if they're going to have a positive impact on the economy, it will be before the 26 midterms. So for Republicans, this was critical to get it done early, and the Senate Republicans have to pass this, otherwise they could lose their majority.
As you mentioned, this is very important for Main Street, but also we know that Wall Street's always watching. Could this legislation influence international markets or investor confidence in the U.S. economy?
I would definitely say that this is already, just even the fact that we're close to having the budget or having this bill pass this week. You've already seen movements in the markets. I do think that this is injecting certainty back into the economy, and over the summer we're going to start to see a parade of trade deals. Every single one of these is going to add additional certainty to the economy, and I think that's going to have a positive impact on markets and on consumer confidence, et cetera. One of the things in the Harvard Harris poll this week is that 51% of Americans actually are optimistic about the economy right now. 57% say they do not think that we're in a recession, and that's a big deal for the country right now, that there's actually that kind of optimism. It's only half the country, but things are fairly polarized in this country. So that's actually a pretty good indication at this point.
Of course, a lot is happening, really moving at a rapid speed in Washington. Do you have any plans to poll Americans following any of this activity?
Yeah, so we're actually planning a big poll for the first half year of the Trump presidency to go back in with a lot of the stuff that we did on our pre-inauguration polling, to just see what Americans think at this point. A lot's happened. A lot continues to happen. This has been one of the it's everything's happening at breakneck speed, it seems, in this first half year of the Trump presidency and the first 100 days. And really keeping up on this, there's been a lot of things that are going to be impacting public opinion. One thing that was very clear it has been very clear in our polling, people have confidence in the border activity and Trump's solutions for that. And I think that's one of the things that we see already solved even before this new bill that has money for it, that Americans are pretty happy about. So we're going to be able to ask all these different questions. People can go to pollingclub.com if they want to suggest any questions we're going to have in this poll that we have in the next month, and we can include those, all the best suggestions for that.
Dustin Olson with American Pulse Research and Polling, thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you, Ron. Appreciate it.
This is Ticker. We'll be right back.